This is VOCM Open Line. Call 709-273-5211 or 1-888-590-8626. The views and opinions of this program are not necessarily those of this station. The biggest conversation in Newfoundland and Labrador starts now.
Well, good morning and welcome to Open Line. I'm your host, Darren Bent. Back again. Yes, no, you're not caught in a Groundhog Day loop. I am back for a third week. So we're going to get things started this morning with, well, look, let's talk about the weather for a second because that's what we like to talk about the most here in this province, isn't it? 8 weeks from today will be summer. Can you feel it in the air? Probably not. The worst snowfall, the total most snowfall in 23 years. So anyone that was out there shoveling snow that's 22 years of age or younger this winter can't even remember the worst snowfall next to the one we had this year. And of course, I suppose the only thing that helped us along was a few days between the big snowfalls in February. But here we are at a record. How did you make out this winter? Do you want to give us a call on that? Tell us your experiences. And of course, the weather office is telling us we can expect another 10 to 15 centimeters over the next little while. Good news all around. Hey, okay, budget week. The Premier has told Open Line that they're not going to cut their way to prosperity and indicated that the focus this week will not be on big cuts, but will be on cost of living as a key priority. This week, VOCM's question of the day, I believe yesterday, that came up as the number one priority for respondents. Lagging way behind in second place was healthcare this time around, and I guess because of the cost of gas and food and pretty well everything you do, whether you want to buy a piece of wood to upgrade your deck or your shed or so forth, it's starting to add up and it's starting to have some long-term effects for people that just want to do that. And of course, you know, for many people that I talk to, seniors and so forth that are living in their own homes and have to do maintenance on them, and they have to do maintenance on them to, you know, to keep them up to snuff and so forth. The cost of doing that is really, really digging into people on fixed incomes. If you have an experience and you want to give us a call, let us know something that you saw out there that, you know, has really stuck a thorn in your side. You know, let us know. Also, we're hearing this morning that Cape Spear, and as Russell Bowers pointed out rightly this morning on the morning show, nobody lives at Cape Spear. Reminds me of an old George Carlin joke. We get our weather from the airport. How come? Because nobody lives at the airport. Well, the federal riding of Cape Spear is getting a new name, and it's the new name additions, of course, are not really all that close to Cape Spear, but the district is. So Cape Spear, Mount Pearl Paradise will be the new name. So it takes into account western to eastern ends of that district. An odd breakdown of the district, of course, and you always wonder when the federal government goes through something as benign as a name change for a district, how much it's costing and how much effort has gone into that. Okay, this is also MOU Week, the much anticipated review by the panel established by the VOCM government should have the review complete, and by all indications from the province that they expect to have that review in their hands this week. Not sure if we'll hear the findings this week, but possibly. So the $225 billion question on Muskrat Falls, is this the best deal we can get? And of course, as you know, and as you realize, of course, no matter what deal anyone gets, you can always say, is this the best deal we can get? Well, we might find out from the new panel what's going on with that. This weekend, the Clarenville Caribous are tops in senior hockey in the country from the Allen Cup. They are Allen Cup champions. On Saturday, they downed Stony Creek Tigers from Ontario 6-3 in the championship game. The day before, on Friday evening, they downed the Conception Bay Blues, the host team, 5-2. This is the Caribous' first win since 2011 and was their third final appearance in the Allen Cup in the last 4 years. They've had a great run. So hats off to the Caribous on a great tournament, and a big shout out to everyone with the Conception Bay Blues and the town for making this happen, bringing this championship back to our province. Okay, we're going to head to the lines now. Lots to talk about, lots of other issues that I haven't touched on, but I will a little later on. We are going to go to line one, and I'm going to try to get this to work this morning. There I go. Good morning. We have John on line one. John, you're calling with a follow-up. Let us know what's going on.
Good morning, sir, and thank you very much for taking my call, and thank you to the person behind the scenes who contacted me and so on to get this all arranged. I'm calling today with a follow-up. I had called you, I was actually talking to you on Thursday about trying to take my mom, who was 91, into the emergency room at the Health Science, and she was suffering from dementia. And, we had a long wait time, and we didn't get to see a doctor at that time. And I, again, want to be clear. I'm not really calling here today in any way to place blame on any staff of the Health Science. I'm really advocating for some changes in how we, address geriatric level patients in emergency. So, again, just to continue the story a tiny bit, I need to give you what happened from there, because this is important to discuss.
Yes.
So initially, I think when I brought my mom in, and people were observing her, they would have thought she was presenting with symptoms that you might associate with an illness like pneumonia. She had shortness of breath, noticeable rattle on the chest, and she was struggling a bit to take in the air, but it very much seemed like a chest congestion kind of thing. And I guess in emergency world, who have to deal with so many issues, that wouldn't have constituted a sort of a direct emergency that needed to be handled immediately. By Friday morning type idea, when we had returned Thursday night and went back to her home, we basically had the good fortune that the doctor that shows up at her nursing home happens to come in on that day at Cambridge Estates, and I want to say to Dr. Singleton, thank you very much. She brought my mom in and gave her an examination, and at that time there was a discovery made that she actually had a mass in her throat that was obstructing her airway. And so we immediately had to take my mom back to Emerge. And in this case, we went to St. Clair's because they, I think, have a lot of specialized people in sort of ear, nose, throat. So it was determined at that time that she had a very aggressive form of thyroid cancer, and that, again, her throat was being obstructed. Yeah. And the outcome was going to be inevitable. However, I do want to say here that this diagnosis that happened allowed me to get my sisters, my family on planes right away to come back to Newfoundland. And I will say to you, too, that as a side note, I know we sometimes crap on the airlines and things like that, but to Porter and Air Canada and the booking agents, they did a lot to help my sisters get on flights and get them here as fast as possible. And for that, I want to say thank you for that. Things that they did. So by Friday afternoon, my mom was admitted to St. Clair's, and I had been in discussions at that time with doctors about various options, and there was all kinds of indicators to say we'd be in palliative care in a very short period of time. And by Saturday, luckily, my first sister arrived in the afternoon. My second sister didn't arrive till like Sunday in the a.m. at around 2 o'clock. But we did get them in front of my mom, and we had a chance for us to have a family moment where we held hands and smiled and told stories. And, by Sunday morning, we were switching to a level of care that was kind of palliative, and my mom passed peacefully away before 11 o'clock in the morning. And so I'm calling here today to, as I said to you about before, it's important for us to bring this narrative forward. The reason for my call is to advocate for a very separate and specific intake in emergency for geriatric patients. And sometimes at that age, issues that may present as simple issues or that we might think is one thing may have an underlying issue that is associated with aging that really needs to be seen by people who kind of specialize in the elderly care. So again, I'm asking the Premier, I'm asking government people who are responsible for health to please take time in the think tanks to look at very specific wings that deal with our elderly and make sure they're staffed appropriately, because sometimes there has to be a lot of individualized care for patients at that level. I want to give thanks to Dr. Singleton and the staff at Cambridge Estates for all they did for my mom, Dr. Drover and the emergency physicians at St. Clair's. But the biggest thank you of all, this is hard, the nurses at St. Clair's 4 East, especially you, Maddie. The level of care that those people gave my mom are beyond my words. How fantastic those nurses are, how they not only help my mom, but they help my family. I love you guys for what you do. You're like just amazing. I had to call in to continue this discussion, and I will call in from time to time. Though my mom has passed, there's somebody else's mom or somebody else's dad. And if I can do one thing to help those people, then it's worth it. But again, for those nurses in that hospital, and I'm sure in many others, what you do for families every day, you are the heroes of this healthcare system. Thank you for taking my call.
John, thank you for calling back with the follow-up. First of all, heartfelt condolences to you and your family on your mom's
Much
passing.
appreciated.
We took your call on Thursday. Your story was something that a lot of people, it resonated with a lot of people because they had been in the similar experiences, and you took your mom on Thursday to emergency. And of course, this is no reflection on the staff or the people there.
No,
it has to do with the system and the intake. And you took her there. You sat there for 5 to 6 hours to get her seen for something you were very concerned about. She did have, and I believe you mentioned she did have some dementia. And that exacerbated.
It was moderate to severe, absolutely.
Yeah, it exacerbated her experience. It put her in she was concerned and scared and all of that, and you had to leave the hospital after 5 or 6 hours because it was just becoming too much sitting in emergency and waiting. And then when you got in the system, you came back and you got in the system, different hospital, but nonetheless, once you got through and it was identified, your experience was stellar. And
unbelievably good. I mean, again, even again, to the people at the Health Science Center, I'm not saying that there was any level of your work that was bad, because again, you're behind doors dealing with people that are coming in car accidents, in heart failure, everything. Yeah. We get it. Like that, we're just asking government for them to try and redo the system so it takes some pressure off you, to give you additional resources, give you additional specific intakes where people are specifically trained to deal with maybe one aspect of our population, or a new way to, dare I say, streamline some of the things. If there are various things like heart attacks, accidents, etc., you can expect to go through one section of intake. If it's a geriatric patient who might need different level of care, there's a different intake.
Yeah, and absolutely, and the geriatric experience in the healthcare system and the possibilities that come along with that are much different than the car accident and so forth, and need a specialized attention. And you have hit the nail on the head when it comes to the intake issue. There, it's nothing to do with the staff. They're dealing with the system they're working in, and of course, once you get in, you're in, and your experience, like I said, was stellar. And your experience right through to the end was positive, but what you had to go through to get in should not happen to you, should not happen to anybody, and it's discouraging. I know, because it doesn't matter who you are. Going to emergency is something you go, should I really go? No matter what condition you're in, and then of course, when you've got a senior and they're displaying dementia and so forth, and then just go in the regular queue with everybody else. And you can say that about a couple of different areas as well, right? So, it needs to be looked at, absolutely. John,
keep finding solutions. Families keep calling programs like this, and I thank VOCM and you for giving us opportunities to air these concerns. And again, this is not a blame game. This is a game of every system we have, whether it's healthcare, education, whatever it is. We just got to keep going to the table and putting blame aside and find solutions. We got to do better. We got to do better for our seniors. We've got to do better for everybody in the system, for sure. And that intake problem there with your mom and all of that. I mean, look where you went. You went from a horrible situation on Thursday to
saying goodbye to your mother on Sunday. That's incredible that you were in a situation like that and had to endure that. And I guess it was, I'm sure it's very overwhelming for your family, but I'm very glad to hear that you were able to get your family back and to have that time with your mom.
We had a very, very, very good experience and a very peaceful resolution, which I thank everybody for. And again, I want to thank VOCM for making it possible to have these kind of discussions, and you for your compassion as an online host. I appreciate that. I can hear in your voice and in your words that you are genuinely on this and understand where I'm coming from. So I hope everybody out there has a good day. Again, take time to praise those healthcare professionals who, in all aspects, are doing everything they can for us, and keep trying to advocate for them to make that system better. I hope you have a great day.
John, thank you for calling. You have a great day, and take care, and all the best to you and your family. And so there's John giving us his full story on the experience at intake when it comes to our healthcare system. Do you have any similar experiences? Do you have anything that you want to say about how that works and through emergency? Give us a call here on Open Line. We'll gladly discuss it. And, it's one of those things where we say sometimes, we hope that the government officials are listening to this, because this is an experience that people shouldn't have to experience. Okay, we're going to go to break. I'll be back here on Open Line in just a few moments. Okay, a powerful start to the show this morning. I'm your host, Darren Bent, and we heard from John talking about the intake issue that he had with his mother last week. And of course, anybody that decides to go to the emergency room, whether it's St. Clair's Health Sciences Center, anywhere, they know what they're getting into. And of course, they're not going because they know it's going to be a great experience and they're going to get in right quick. They know there's the possibility of sitting in that waiting room for a long, long, long time before they get seen. But they're there because they're concerned about their own health care or health care of a loved one. And, it just seems that we spend more money on healthcare in this province than anything else, that we can find a better way to do the intakes, to go through that process, to divide people out to different specialties and so forth. And it also makes me wonder, because I've been to the health sciences and the emergency room there, that is it even structurally set up to do what we need it to do as tax-paying citizens of the province. Okay, that being said, welcome your calls on anything with regards to that. I am now going to line 2, and we have Greg on line 2. Greg, welcome to Open Line.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How can we help you?
Just phoning out to reach out to the public. They're on April 19th of just past 2026. My wife and I were into Costco, and I lost my late father's wedding band. I'm not sure if it was at the Costco area or if it was over to the McDonald's on Topsail Road. They're just up from the village or around the village area, so I backtracked most everywhere that I could go. So I was reaching out to the public, if they happen to see it, if they could give me a call or connect with me some way. It's very distinct. It's a wider yellow gold wedding band, and it has engravements on right around the outside edges, both edges, of little tiny crosses, so it's very distinct that way. And it's 10 karat gold itself. So, I lost it then. If the public happens to see it, just get in contact with me. We'll make arrangements to get it back. I'd greatly, greatly appreciate it if they could. But, yeah, I'm not sure which area it was, but that was the 3 areas that I was. But I didn't realize it was gone until I sat back in the car from the village to go, because it was a phantom feel that it was there. It's been on my finger for so long. And I looked and I said, oh, my goodness, when I put my hand on the steering wheel, my ring was gone.
Yeah. So, and of course, then your mind races back to where have I been and what have I done, and did I notice anything that felt strange on my hand at any point? When you say a Costco, do you think maybe, and I know you've gone over this 1,000 times in your mind, do you think it might have been in the store, outside the store possibly, or do you just have absolutely no ability to pinpoint anything like that?
Well, to be honest, I guess it's mostly I don't know 100% where it would be, but it's I really thinking that it could be like when I was packing the items back into the cart, so at the checkout, or out packing it into the cart itself. And I backtracked most of those areas, but I didn't see it.
Yeah, and maybe somebody's turned it in somewhere, or maybe somebody knows, Greg, and hopefully that's the case, and they can get in touch with you. Did you want to give your number over the phone or over the line? Or?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, you go ahead.
Yeah, so they can reach me at 709-341-8328. And if I can't take a call, just leave a message, and I'll gladly get back to you.
Okay, Greg. So the Costco inside, outside, down to McDonald's on Topsail Road, and that's the two places you travel from one to the other. You got in the car after you leave at McDonald's, and there it was, gone. Okay.
Gone, exactly. Yeah. Or it might have been gone before that, like I say, but it was just that phantom feel. It was there until I seen it. Like, oh my goodness, it's not there.
Okay, all right. So, Greg, hopefully we can hook you back up with your late father's ring. They can give you a call at 709-341-8328. Greg, all the best. You take care.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to move along to line 3 now. And on line 3, we have Andrew. Andrew, good morning and welcome to Open Line.
Good morning. Thank you very much. I'd like to say something about anxiety, because it's a major issue for a lot of people. It's very difficult to deal with. I'm a mindfulness practitioner, and I teach a program on dealing with anxiety and stress. And it's a particularly different approach, I think, than what we're used to. So normally with anxiety, it's not very comfortable, as we know. So that means that we try to move away from it. We try to move in the opposite direction. We try to get away from it. We try to avoid it. That's a normal human response to discomfort. And the problem with it is, if we do that every time, we're not going to actually get to know it. And so we're not going to have a basis to really relate to it and work with it. So the mindfulness approach is to start turning towards it, which might sound unusual, but it's a willingness to have an open mind and not just take a knee-jerk response, but instead to take a look and get a bigger understanding of it, right? So this is a process, of course, and it's ongoing. But once we start to get to know it a bit better, we're not afraid of it nearly as much. And we can start to relate to it as it is, which is it's a temporary occurrence under certain circumstances and so on. So the reason I'm mentioning this today is the workshop series, Anxiety, Stress, and Mindfulness, is going to be starting tomorrow evening. That's 28th at 7:30. It's on Zoom. The first session is free. So the idea is, if anyone is at all interested in learning more about this approach, they're more than welcome to join us there. And then if they decide that they want to continue with the series, then that's fine too. So
how do they find it, Andrew?
Yeah, it's if they go to the website Safer Mindfulness. So safer is just like the word safer, and then mindfulness, it has one L in it, and that's one word, safermindfulness.com. And once they're there, if they just click on workshops, they'll find the information.
So, Andrew, a lot of people out there and a lot of listeners suffer with anxiety from time to time, worry and all that. And we always hear that, facing your problems, your issues, the things that are core roots to any of those problems is the best way to do it. And understanding the problem fully and then finding, even the start, a path towards solving the issue always is a relief and allows the person to move on a little bit. You're saying pretty well exactly that, pushing it aside, not dealing with it, not, I guess understanding it fully, what its causes are and its effect on you, that you're never going to be able to address the root of your problem and therefore move on from it, because truthfully, you can move on from it. You're not stuck feeling that way for the rest of your life, are you?
Exactly. I mean, we don't have to be a victim in these situations. We can actually find ourselves more in the driver's seat instead of being thrown under the bus.
No, exactly, Andrew. And of course, programs, I suppose, like yours and others, and I suppose, health professionals that are in counseling and so forth will always try to get someone to, fully confront what it is that's, that they're facing. In the first step to be able to move on from it. So what kind of subject matter are you going to deal with in the first one?
Okay, well, we are going to look at some of the research that's been done showing effectiveness of mindfulness practice in relation to anxiety and stress. But I've been offering this for 13 years, so we have our own data, and we'll talk about that a bit. But more than that, we'll be going through the actual instruction of the mindfulness practice, which is a form of meditation practice. We're going to do it together. It's going to be a guided delivery for that. We'll debrief it. So doing the actual practice is what can make the difference, and that's what we emphasize in these programs. Okay,
Andrew. So it's safermindfulness.com, all one word,
yes.
And you're starting tomorrow night, and people can sign up and go through the online portion of that to log into the program and see what it's all about. Andrew, thank you very much for your call this morning.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank
Bye-bye.
you. And we're just getting close to the break there now. But whether it's through meditation or anything like this, any type of counseling, any help you can get to deal with these issues, it's always good to avail of it. And of course, as we say, facing your problems, the root of it is the only way to get past it. So we're up to break time now. We'll be back here on Open Line in just a few moments. All right, well, welcome back to Open Line. I'm your host, Darren Bent, sitting in for this week, and we're going to go to line 4 with Sean. Sean, good morning. Welcome to Open Line.
Good morning, Darren. How are you today?
Not too bad, sir. How about yourself?
I'm good. I'm calling in to throw a big bouquet out, the biggest you can throw out, to a young woman from up on the Northern Peninsula, Castle River North, she's from, Shailene Bailey. On Friday evening, she saved the lives of 2 young men that would have definitely had drowned only for her quick action and jumping into the ice cold water to save their life.
Oh my, Sean, tell us all about it. Tell us what happened.
One of the young men was out panning ice, something that every man and woman in Newfoundland has done a lifetime. Not saying it's safe to do, but we've all done it. And apparently, not sure exactly how, but one of the pans that he was on started floating away from the shoreline, started going out through the harbor.
Yeah.
His older brother must have seen it, came down, and when the ice started breaking away on him and started breaking apart, he went into the water and started swimming towards the wharf. He jumped in after him. Neither one of them being a strong swimmer, you do what you can for family. He swam out, tried to save him, but they were both going under when the young woman showed up there. Without hesitation, took her boots off, jumped in after him, and got 2 of them to the wharf, where by this time a crowd of men had showed up and was able to lift them up on the wharf, because at that point they were even too cold. They couldn't even climb up over the wharf themselves. They were that cold.
Were they in the water?
The men got them up.
Were they in the water?
Yes.
Wow.
In the water of the harbor, out in the harbor.
That's
yes,
awful. That's
they were
awful
in there
cold.
for.
Yeah. You can lose all your muscle
cold.
ability in cold water like that. That must have been that must have been harrowing for everybody involved.
It was, and like I said, it's that woman, because the older brother jumped in to save his younger brother. And both of them could swim, but not strong swimmers. And like I said to somebody before, it's one thing to swim yourself, but when you're trying to save a second person that's panicking, which of course the young man was, in the cold, not knowing what's going on. Trying to save someone like that is a different idea than just swimming yourself. So the 2 of them, the 2 brothers would have definitely drowned, only for the quick action of that young woman.
Was she some sort of healthcare person, or was she just just there on the scene and was able to help?
Just there on the scene.
Yeah.
She was just there on the scene. She's from the community, from the area. Just heard when the young man started floating out to the harbor on the ice pan, a call went out to the community on Facebook and all that for somebody to come with a boat to go get him.
Yeah.
And people were coming towards it, and I guess she was one of them. And before the men got there with their boats to help, he was already in the water at this point, trying to swim to shore.
Wow.
And she jumped in and stove the life off two of them, because the two of them would have definitely drowned, only for her jumping in to save them.
No, absolutely.
And I want to throw a big bouquet her way, right? Because she would have definitely.
Shailene Baker, is it?
Shailene
Baker,
Bailey.
yeah, okay. Shailene, wow.
Bailey, not Baker, not Baker.
Oh,
Bailey.
Okay, Shailene Bailey. Yeah.
Yep.
So, and where exactly was this again? Which harbor? Which cove?
Bartlett's Harbor.
Okay. And for those who don't know where Bartlett's Harbor is, tell us.
It's about a half an hour north of Port au Choix, and it's just south of Plum Point.
Wow.
So if anybody drives along by the coastline, they know Port au Choix and they know Plum Point, two major places. Bartlett's Harbor is a small community out in the harbor there where we do fishing and all that, right? Getting ready for lobster season and all that. And, like I said, the young boy was about 12 or 13, and the older boy was 18.
Wow, there was some lucky. Some lucky. I got to tell you,
really lucky.
One person in cold water like that, another person trying to save them. How many times have we heard that the person panicking has claimed the life of both of the people involved, and to have somebody come along and be able to get them over to the shore and help get them out is just incredible. It's an amazing story of heroism and of course and luck a bit too. Hey.
Oh, luck, timing, everything went just right. They got him up. Happened, another coincidence, right at the same time. We're about a half an hour, 40 minutes from the nearest hospital ambulance. Yeah. Right at the same time, there was an incident on the go in another community where the ambulance had showed up, not needed. So when the call went into 911, the ambulance was only 2 minutes away to get there, to get the boys in the heat and get them wrapped up and all that.
Yeah.
So just a whole lot of luck, coincidence, timing. It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
and that lady needs all the recognition she can get, because she did not hesitate one bit. As soon as she seen what was going on, her boots came off, in the water she went. Didn't even think twice.
Shailene Bailey,
to me,
wow,
that's a true sign of a hero.
Oh, absolutely, and should be recognized by the by one of the groups that do that, whether it's Red Cross or Life Saving Society and so forth. Somebody should nominate this young woman for her bravery and her ability to help those two fellows, because that was heading for absolute tragedy, and we'd be telling a different story this morning. If it hadn't been for her quick action, for sure, and a much sadder story as well. That's an amazing story.
Definitely would. Yes, would have been a different story. Could have been a big difference if she never jumped in at the time she did.
Yeah, no, for sure. Anything else, Sean, you want to say on that one?
No, that's it. I just want to send a bouquet out to her and say thank you to her, and she needs to be recognized.
Absolutely does. Sean, thank you for telling us this story. It's an incredible story. It's one that could have gone wrong in so many ways, and of course, as you know, and as we all know, around this province, from the island to Labrador, that panning ice is not a good practice. It can turn very bad very quickly, and we've had some absolute tragic stories around the province over the past number of years, and that didn't turn out as well as this one. And it's something that as parents and individuals, anybody listening, remind your loved ones. I know it's tempting, but it's all tempting, isn't it? It looks like a good time. It looks like a bit of fun. It is calling to your heart to go try it. But please don't let this tale today here that Sean has brought us be your cautionary tale when it comes to panning ice, because we've had tragedies. I know that there was a tragedy marked down in Pooch Cove not that long ago, the remembering the young men that died in that scenario down there, and the families got together to remember and to thank those who helped in the recovery. But that was a recovery mission down there for a number of days. It wasn't a rescue and a positive story. Anybody else connected to this story wants to give us a call, please do give us a call. We'd love to hear what you got to say. Sean, thank you very much for calling in with us this morning.
Thank you.
All right, you take care. Shailene Bailey, a hero in Bartlett's Harbor this weekend, saving the lives of two young men who were panning ice and ended up in the water. The brother trying to save the other brother were both saved by this woman, and we thank her for her absolutely outstanding bravery. And of course, like we said, good timing and a bit of luck played a big role in this. And where are we going to go next, Dave? Which line? We got a few lit there. Line 1, is it? I'm sorry. Is it line 1? I know you moved real quick that time. Okay, sorry. Yeah, so we're going to go to line 1. Trifina, you're on the air. Welcome to Open Line. Good morning.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm actually just calling, looking for some suggestions for a family member that has an appointment in the Carbonear General Hospital. I've been trying now for a week to get a hold of them, and I can't reach anybody. And if he doesn't show up to this appointment tomorrow, he has to wait another couple of years because it's a referral.
Is he not able to make the appointment tomorrow?
No, he's not able to.
Oh, okay. Did you try 811?
No, I didn't.
I'm not even sure if that's available in your area, but that is a health number I know that we use in the province. It's a general number that can usually connect people. I'm not sure, but if anybody else has any better numbers, absolutely let us know. Give us a call. We'll share them on the air so Trifina can find out. And I'm assuming you don't live real close to Carbonear?
No, we're like 3 hours drive.
Yeah, that's going to be so you want to make sure that you stay in the queue. You don't get bumped for a couple of years for the appointment, for sure. So, and you're doing your best to try to change the appointment, but you have been thwarted. Do you have a specialist or somebody outside the hospital that you can contact that could help you with that? Is there a doctor work at another clinic, or is it just the hospital you've been dealing with?
It's just a hospital right now that I've been dealing with, and I've been trying since Thursday, Friday of last week. It goes to voicemail. Nobody is clearing the voicemail, so you can't leave a message. And I've even called the main switchboard at the hospital and spoke to two different people, 2 different times, today and Friday. And they can't help me. They just keep telling me to keep calling the number.
Really? They can't help you, like the switchboard can't help you at the hospital to connect you like some department. They can't say, oh, hold on, we'll connect you, or anything like that?
No.
That's odd.
Nothing.
Oh, my.
They just keep saying, you'll have to keep trying that number, unfortunately. I'm sorry.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's not really that good. Okay. So, Trifina, if somebody out there has a suggestion that might be able to help her get in touch with someone at the Carbonear, is there a clinic that you're trying to get in touch with in particular, since the main office desk doesn't seem to be able to help you?
It's a specialist within the hospital, so I don't know if it's if I can say the name online, the doctor's name. Yeah,
the doctor's not doing anything wrong. It's the system trying to get you to him. If you want to, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. It's Dr. Munn, M-U-N-N.
Okay. So anybody else out there maybe dealing with Dr. Munn that knows a way to get in touch with his office, his, the people that deal with his appointments, if they want at Carbonear Hospital, if they want to let us know, send us an email to Open Line, or just send us a note or give us a call even off air, and we'll pass along the information to Trifina to see if we can get some assistance for her today. Okay, well, Trifina, thanks for calling in. We'll see if we can get some help from someone for that. Try 811 when you get off the line. I'm not sure if that can help you there, but try 811. Tell them your dilemma and see if that works for you. And if it does, that'll be great. If not, we'll keep an ear to what people send in.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
All right, you take care. Okay, we are past the break. We're going to head there now. We'll be back on Open Line in just a moment. Welcome back to Open Line. I'm your host, subbing in this week, Darren Bent, and we just had someone reach out. Trifina just called, she's trying to get a hold of her specialist for a loved one there at the Carbonear Hospital and is having trouble getting through. I've been told that there is a number for NL Health appointments. It's 709-777-6440. So Trifina, if you're there and you want that number, if you can't get it here, or if somebody wants to pass it on to you, 709-777-6440. Okay, we are now going to line 3 where we have Gerald. Gerald, welcome to Open Line.
Good morning, Darren. How are you this morning?
Not bad, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. So it's been like 6 months ago now, I think, since I last contacted Open Line, speaking to Patty, about this recreation scallop. And I guess I'll give you a little quick update on it too, because you probably don't know the reason why we were talking about it.
Nope.
But is due to the fact of a regulation that the Federal Fisheries got put in there by FFAW. That states that you're not allowed to use any kind of a device to up all your rake up from the bottom.
Okay, so what kind of an issue does that pose? Because how do you get your rake up from the bottom?
Exactly, that's what we're trying to find out. After contacting NTV News, CBC News, radio, who all tried to get answers to this. They haven't been able to get any response from any of the people involved, like the fisheries or fisheries officers, or no one didn't seem to respond to them. So I've been doing a lot of digging since that last time that I was talking. So I've been put petitions out to the federal fisheries that was presented to the Joanne Thompson, the federal fisheries minister, to our own government, to our fisheries Newfoundland. We've been talking to fishery officers, and seems like nobody can't give you a clear explanation of why you're not allowed to use the hauler. Now, as I can explain, the only way we're using a hauler is to retrieve the rake up from the ocean floor. So you're towing along with your boat, you're scraping a few scallops up if you're lucky, and then you got all your rake up. That rake can be filled up with debris of rocks, mud, sand, whatever the rake's path when it's towing along. So after you get your tow done, then you got to try to get that rake up aboard your boat. Now, the only explanation that I've got from anybody was that where you're only needing 50 scallops, do you really need a hauler to haul it up? There's no scientist out there can tell you that when you throw a rake overboard, you're going to get 50 scallops. You may have to make 20 tows to get 50 scallops. And every time you got to retrieve that rake with your hands. That's what they're expecting.
Yeah, so just give us a sense of it for all of us who don't know the size, weight, and all of that of a rake, but just tell us about the problems you would have with not having a way to haul it up other than trying to get to it by your hands, or I don't even know, how deep is the water? Are you got to bring in a diver or something?
Well, Darren, the rake I use aboard my boat is a bit heavier, but there's I can say right now that the rake is at least 40 to 50 pounds. Okay, so you got a person with shoulders tore out like mine. I just went through shoulder surgery. You got people there that's physically disabled in other ways. You got people that elderly people that's out there that just not strong like they were years ago, that can't take part in this fishery just because of that hauling the rake up by your hands.
Yeah, so how deep is it? How deep is it normally? How deep are you going?
Well, you're talking about 5-10 fathom of water. That's like 50, but 5-10 fathom of water. So you're expecting to haul a rake that weighs about 40 pounds, or maybe 50, and mine is even heavier than that, to haul that up with half full of rocks, maybe full of rocks. It's impossible.
Yeah.
And to me,
of course, you're not having any effect on the commercial scallop fishery by doing what you're doing.
Not a chance.
Not a chance. No.
Not a chance in the world. There's no like the commercial fisheries. Well, I mean, they got to use it for their jobs. All right, I can understand because they when they put a rake over their rake's a lot bigger than what I'm just talking about here.
Yeah.
So they actually need an hauler to haul up their rake. But as for recreation, that why should we be penalized? Because that's what it is. It's actually we're being penalized because we can't use an hauler. They figures that okay, if they're not going to use an hauler, we're going to get people away from that fishery, and next thing you know, everybody's going to be saying the same thing, and we're going to lose our recreation scallops.
Yeah. Is there many people at the recreational scallop fishery, Gerald?
Yes, it is. I mean, in this area alone, we maybe got 30, 40 people.
Okay.
And that's boats.
Yeah. What area are you calling from, Gerald? Then, just so we know.
Down on South Coast.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, I have it written down to, all that area.
And is there much for scallops down there?
What do you mean, pounds?
Yeah. How many? Yeah. Is there many? Are they big? Are they good size? Or?
Oh, they're beautiful scallops you get down here.
Yeah.
But we're allowed to get 50 scallops a day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I'm allowed to get when I was out there. Get 50 scallops a day. Now, once you get your 50 scallops, I mean you got to come in out of it. Okay.
Yep.
So now me and my wife was out there. We could manage to go out and scrape up 100, but I mean me and her can't haul up that scallop rake.
Yeah.
That's impossible. All right. So they're taking away our rights, which have been there for years, and I think that. We need this regulation changed. This should be thrown out as a something that was put in there with no explanation.
Well, again, Gerald, this seems like they're penalizing the innocent for what some people might do. Right. Turn it into an industry or something. But I mean, for the average scallop, recreational scallop fisherman, a few scallops or so forth, and you're allowed to have 50 a day. Most people will do that. I mean, you can't say when you put the rake in whether you're going to have 49 or 51, of course. But still, you're not out there day and night with rakes going up and down with the mechanical ability to do it, and of course 40-50 pounds down in the water to haul it up out of there. I mean, geez, boy, I'd be hard pressed to get that up, and of course you don't know what's going to be in it when you haul it up, so that's added weight as well. Doesn't seem right, to be honest with you. And what they're doing is they're trying to say, well, you could get out there and do too much fishing if you're able to do it that easy, so we're going to limit you. Man, that's punishing the innocent. It doesn't make any sense at all, does it?
Well, I actually was talking to one of the fishery officers over in Marystown, and I said to him, now what in your opinion is the reason why I can't use an hour? He said, well, by probably making it a little bit too easier, and like you just said there, somebody may be going out and get 2 more scallops than they're supposed to get, and then selling them. I'll say, okay. I said, how long have you been in this profession you're in now, fishery officer? Well, he said, I'm up to 25 years. So I said, can you tell me in 25 years how many people have you caught with over scallops, selling scallops, and that kind of thing? He said, maybe 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Now, so, 1 or 2 is not a very good ratio for 25 years.
Gerald, I'm hard on the newscast now here. I'm going to have to let you go, but I got to say that doing something like this, it sounds to me like they're putting off a problem onto the recreational scallop fishermen. That is the responsibility of DFO, and that's enforcement, and that's a job for them. That's not a job that you should have to burden by hauling by hand a rake up over the side of the boat. Anyways, Gerald, thank you for raising this issue this morning. Give us a call back if you get anywhere with it. I'm your host, Darren Bent. We're going to be back on Open Line just after the newscast. Welcome back to Open Line. I'm your host, Darren Bent, this week. And, of course, anybody that has been out on the socials over the past day or so have read stories about the passing of St. John's firefighter Jimmy O'Toole. And it's a very sad and tragic news, of course, for all the firefighting community in our province and elsewhere. And, of course, Jimmy wasn't only a firefighter since 2001, but he played a huge huge role dealing with the impacts of health issues for firefighters everywhere. He played a big role in his community as a coach and a supporter, and of course we offer heartfelt condolences to his wife Crystal and his boys Ryan and Gavin, and I have on the line with me this morning, and I know it's a difficult day for you. We have Craig Smith, past president of the St. John's Firefighters Association, and with IAFF Local 1075. Craig, extremely sorry to hear about the news of Jimmy's passing, and greatly appreciate you taking the time this morning to come on Open Line and just give us a sense of the man and what he meant, not only to firefighting staffing, but to the world of firefighters here and abroad. Just an incredible man.
Good morning, Darren. I apologize for just being a little off-taken here, but your introduction was spot on with Jimmy, and it's taken me a second to get my wind after hearing those words. So.
No, you take your time, Craig. We know it's personal.
Unsteady.
We know it's personal, and you take your time because it's important to hear what you got to say.
I mean, we can write a book on Jimmy as a man, as an individual, as a father, as a coworker, and the things he's done for his community, as you stated, and the things he's done for the fire service. And it was a privilege and an honor to work alongside him for 10 years or more as the president of the union, and Jimmy was my secretary and my right-hand man. And the days that I couldn't pull up my socks, Jimmy bent over and pulled them up for me, and I did the same for him. I mean, we our local firefighters in St. John's Regional, a lot of them, see the things that we do locally and see the things we do in the province, and a lot of them, they don't get exposed to the work that's done on a much larger scale, and the work Jimmy did, it was at a high level. It was high altitude work that he did, and he just didn't do it for his local. He did it for every firefighter in the province, every volunteer, every career. He did it for every firefighter across this country and all through the United States and in all North America. And if you look at some of our Facebook posts and you search some of the names and you wouldn't know where they're from, but in the last 24 hours, myself and I'm sure many others that were very close to Jimmy and had these personal relationships from coast to coast to coast to coast, and from California to Seattle to Vancouver, Victoria, to Miami, and everywhere in between, he had a significant impact. And all those that met him. They were very blessed and fortunate to have him in their life and have him as a friend, and personally, him and I, we traveled together for more than 10 years, and we spent so much time on the road together, and throughout his diagnosis of cancer and throughout his treatments, it was astonishing some days to see how he had the energy to pick himself up and to be the father that he was to his two children and the husband he was to Crystal. During his treatments, it was amazing, and all that time he still worked on behalf of everybody, and we became really, really close over the years. And firefighters in general, we have a special bond, and most all first responders do, and those in the first responder world, and it's just the atmosphere of the fire service. I'll speak to our department and our association in particular. We work 24-hour shifts together. And we spent more than a quarter of our lives behind these doors, and we eat together, we sleep together, we cook and clean together. I mean, it is our extended family. And Jimmy and I went even beyond that, just because we spent so many intimate times and hours out of province and in hotel rooms together, talking about life and children and sharing, going online and in between meetings and breaks and watching his son Gavin and Ryan continuing their sports and listen to supporting Crystal and providing that strength for him even when he was at a distance and afar. And I I can go on and on and on, and I'm usually pretty good at these off-the-cuff conversations. But I really almost get a headache here this morning because I'm trying to capture everything that he was and the essence that he was and what he meant to so many people. And I cannot do it justice. I wouldn't be able to do it justice this morning in a few minutes, let alone, or in a few days, let alone in a few minutes. But I mean, Jimmy was loved by many. He was a great supporter for everybody. If you met him, you felt very comfortable in his presence. You felt like you knew him forever. He was professional. He was intellectual. He was an advocate. He was a fun person. He was a social person. I mean, I can go on and on about the man, and it just really breaks our heart to have this come out of nowhere. I mean, Jimmy was an advocate for our occupational health and safety, and he educated himself in that regard, and he continued to make their lives better for everybody. And more importantly, if you ever heard him speak, it was always referencing for the families. This is about you and your members, but more importantly, it's about your families and about your future and the next generation. And he's seen far beyond. He's seen far beyond just directly in front of him. He's seen miles down the road, and he understood the sacrifice that first responders make, and he did everything in his power and everything that he could do to ensure that the lives and the family and the livelihood of everybody was improved upon. And his motto, he always wanted to leave the place better than he found it, and it's something really to be proud of. And we did a lot of fundraising efforts together, and a lot of our members as well. And I mean, Gavin and Ryan, I've seen them since they were babies, and they were always big supporters, and they were always around with Jimmy. And Crystal supported that because it's a big sacrifice to be part of a union executive, and it's a bigger sacrifice to be part of such organizations like Jimmy was, like the Cancer Support Network that's all throughout North America. He was part of a committee with some of our close friends in Ottawa. That try to bring the Cancer Support Network to Canada and the registry, and he did continuous work on the political action side, and it was really it's a pleasure to see the passion that he brought to the table and everything that we advocated for, and he was a strong voice, and I leaned on him many times over the years, and it's just I'm thank you for reaching out this morning. When David sent me the message a half an hour ago. I'm really, really honored that you and happy that you decided to take this time this morning. I mean, he was a resident of CBS. I don't mean that you're on this morning, but he was a resident of CBS, and he was a contributor to his community in every aspect. And he loved his children. He loved his wife, and that was evident. And especially for me, being away out of town for so often with him, it was amazing how he managed it all. And it's just a shock to everybody. He's so loved, and he's going to be so missed. And we're all fortunate to have him in our lives, but there's a piece of me that's lost today for sure.
Yeah, and all the sports organizations that the boys and Jimmy was involved in as a coach out that way are posting today as well. And yesterday, of course, back in 2018 when he got his diagnosis and had been working with the union on behalf of firefighters with regards to, the presumptive coverage for, the occupational cancers and so forth that come along with a job like firefighting. That must have been a gut punch. And nothing to what you found out yesterday, of course, but for him to have been diagnosed even after doing so much work and on behalf of other firefighters must have been almost tragic in a way that you could think something like this could happen. And now here we are today, of course, with the loss of Jimmy and the effect you can see resonates everywhere through socials. People are sharing and people are giving their experiences. Craig, do you want to finish up here now and just say a few more words?
Well, I mean, again, Darren, there's so much that could be said, but we are very thankful for the support that our department and our members are receiving, and it's not surprising. He's not catching us off guard whatsoever. We knew the man he was, and the work he did for so many people, and the stories and these off the cuff conversations that he was so humble. He was so humble in everything he did, and didn't make a big deal of it. And he helped retirees that have been out of this job for 25 years, and they've been retired longer than Jimmy was in the job, and he helped them with different workplace paperworks and filings and advocacy. I mean, it's the work that he did. Only really, truly, 100% of it, Jimmy only knows, and those that he impacted would understand, because again, he was so humbled by it, and he was just a gracious human being, and I'm very fortunate to have had him in my life for the period that I did, and all of us in our department, and I really appreciate everything that's online and the support and the significant impact he had on everybody, and we send our love out to Gavin and Ryan and Crystal, and I'm sure they'll. I don't know. It's the words. I just don't know how the words to put it in place. But I thank you for offering the time this morning to speak on him, and the kind words that you said about him. And I'm sure it's appreciated by his immediate family and his extended family in the fire service, right, in the city and in the province and right across the country. So I really want to thank you for that.
Okay, Craig. Well, thank you for coming on. I know it's been difficult, but we really appreciate it. And of course, I hope that you and Jimmy's family find some comfort in the outreach that you're seeing from just regular citizens right on through to fire departments all around the province. And I'm not sure what's in store next, of course, but I suspect that we'll be hearing a lot more about memorial to Jimmy going forward. And I can tell you that the flags will be at half staff in Conception Bay South. Anyway, we're going to go to the break. We're going to have Connie and Ross coming up after the break. Craig, thank you so much for your time and sharing your thoughts about Jimmy this morning.
Thank you, Dan. God bless.
God bless. Welcome back to Open Line. I'm your host this week, Darren Bent, and we are going to line 6 where we have Ivan. Ivan, welcome to Open Line. I know what you're talking about, don't I?
Yeah, for sure, Darren. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Clarenville Caribous, Allen Cup champions.
Yeah, it's great. I got a great ring for sure. I certainly, like I said before I comment on the hockey for the week, Darren, I'd like to throw a bone to Pat and John and the whole crew up in Conception Bay South for a great week. Like I say, hosting event is the 9th time that I've been at the championship, and their hosting capabilities were second to none.
It's good to hear, and a great crew up there with the Conception Bay Blues who worked to bring it back to the province, and they did a great job. They're a wonderful group, and unfortunately they didn't get to the final, and we've got you to blame for that, of course, on that Friday night loss. But you were successful. You won it for the province, of course, and for Clarenville. Good on you.
Yeah, it was a great week for sure. It's a tough tournament to win. Anytime it's a week-long tournament, and look, based on the number of games and the days off and injuries and everything else, it's a tough tournament to win. We won in 2011. I was there in 2011 and coached the Caribous in 2011, and we've been back 7 times since as the Caribous, and that's our first one since. So, like I say, it's a tough tournament to win.
Yeah, no, it is, and of course you got a long season anyway, and you were involved in the Herder Cup playoffs, and then to go into the Allen Cup, you're getting used to the long season, I guess, for the Clarenville Caribous. Strength of the team. What was it that put you over the top? Because you had to defeat a team coming down from Ontario in the final.
Yeah, you go so often, and I guess, like I say, every time you go, you learn something new. I think one of the key moves for us this week, we certainly over the last number of years, I noticed at the end of the week that three of our last 4 championships, including the one with I was there with the Southern Shore Breakers, assisting them, was that we didn't. We end up, pretty much as all teams do, riding one goaltender for the week. And I found, like I said, that AJ Whiffen had some great round robins in the Allen Cup over the last number of years, but had kind of an off game for him in the championship game, and I kind of thought that he was worn out at the end of the week every time. And this week we made a decision in the middle of the week to say, listen, we're going to rest him, and we're going to try to have him ready, like I said, for the last 2 games. And Conor McCarty came in and played great for us in the game that AJ took off. I think that helped our success at the end of the week. Yeah,
and when you get a tournament like that, it's held in a short period of time. Your turnaround is pretty quick. You play Friday night, a hard game in a semifinal, and then you're back on the ice again Saturday afternoon in the final. well. How are the guys? I'm sure that they're relieved that it's over to some degree, but happy with the result. They're probably glad to be going back to what they would normally do this time of year now.
Yeah, and what people fail to realize too, Darren, is that even for a pro player, to play 5 games of hockey from a Sunday to a Saturday. To play 5 games of hockey, the pro player who's at it every day and got access to all off-ice treatments and whatever else goes along with it. I'll tell you what, that's a challenge in itself, even for a pro player. So for a man who got to go to work Monday to Friday, it's a lot tougher, that's for sure. But the only thing about it is that everybody is doing the same thing. At home, I guess, like I said, for people to be able to go and be able to go back and do their routine things throughout the week and to be able to sleep in their own bed and do their own thing, I guess that probably helps in a way too, because they're more accustomed to that, and to get other things that they're not just thinking, 7, 8 straight days, just not only hockey, to get other things to do, occupy their time, their kids and everything else. So, I think that helped too, playing at home.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Of course, being here in this province makes a big difference, and it cuts down on the cost for the team and all of that, makes it more accessible. But so looking forward to next year, what do you got? What do you think Clarenville's going to have in store next year? How about the league too? Always a lot of questions about the league.
No, the league itself, like I said, I think the league itself is probably, I think the Avalon East Senior Hockey League is probably at the strongest time it's ever been right now. I think, I go back years and years ago. I'm not commenting on that, but like I said, in recent years, I think we got, 6 solid teams there right now. One team we need to do something, like I say, to get them, like I said, where they need to be but get them in a competitive position also. But at the end of the day, I think we're in the strongest position that we've ever been in, like I say, in recent years. And as for Clarenville, listen, I just need a little bit of time now myself. Like I say, listen, look, it's close to 20 years for me now, with the team, and it's. And years are starting to take its toll, and I just need a little bit of time now to think about, where I'm headed to myself. But listen, look, certainly the opportunity to go back and defend increases the odds of a person not returning versus not returning, I should say.
No, absolutely, Ivan. It's hard to lay it all down now when you're on top of the world. Even though it's a good time to lay it all down, as you know, in the sports business, you never know what's going to happen from one year to the next. Ivan, you've been a great part of the Clarenville community and the Clarenville Caribous, and all the best. Congratulations again. I was hoping to say it to another team, that, but congratulations to Clarenville for representing Newfoundland and Labrador well in the Allen Cup in 2026, and all the best to you and for the team for next year. Thanks for giving us a call.
Thanks, Darren. You have a great day now. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Ivan. Okay, we're at the break now. We'll be back in just a few moments here on Open Line. Welcome back to Open Line. I'm going to go to line 4 where we have Ross. Ross, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Darren. I'd like to comment a little bit today on the fishery. Last Wednesday, you had a gentleman on talking about the commercial fishery, and I really think he hit the nail on the head. He was exactly right about what he had said. And I'd like to add another little bit to the cause of the downfall in the commercial fishery. We must remember that the seal hunt got canceled on us. And apparently a seal eats approximately 8 pounds of fish a day. Now, if we as Newfoundlanders called 100,000 seals a year times the 8 pounds a day they eat, that is tremendous burden on our fishery, whether it be herring, capelin, codfish, whatever. So that was also a big factor in the downfall of our cod fishery. It was the stoppage of the seal hunt. Yeah, so that played quite a bit into that too, eh?
It was certainly a hot topic back in the 90s, culling the seals and the effects that they were having. I think that the federal there was ministers, MPs, and so forth calling for a cull. It never got anywhere. No. They always kept going back to the science and the need and the market and all of that, and they didn't want to be. They never went anywhere with it. I'm not sure what the absolute reason was. They stopped talking about it, but certainly it was a hot topic in the fishery, certainly in the 90s, a little bit in the 2000s, but not so much in the recent years.
No, and the reason it all got started was the clubbing of the whitecoats by these actresses and those kind of people that stopped it because they thought it was inhumane to club the seals, and that's how the seal fishery stopped.
Oh yeah, no. Look, there's no possible way to kill a seal on ice that looks good, and that's been exploited. Certainly annually back then, not so much now because there's not as many seals being taken. The controversy seems to have died down a little bit. We had somebody on from the seal group last week talking about how there's a renewed interest in certainly some of the Scandinavian countries in Europe, and they're certainly trying to make their way back into it. And of course, there's a big push now to get the seal oil being used in the pet industry. That's a big deal now as well. But none of that leads to a mass cull or a big seal hunt. And I know that we got the boats out now. We're seeing the flippers come back, and they never catch the quota. It's just the market's just not there.
No, that's why, and the market was ruined because of the way that the media brought the killing of the seals on the ice. That's what stopped the seal fishery in Newfoundland. If that had never happened, we'd be going on the same, and there would be, not as bad devastation on our fishery.
Yeah, no, but that's part and parcel of it. And of course, in some cases, we were our own worst enemies, weren't we? We had fellows out there doing illegal stuff that ended up getting on tape and got shared as well, and charges were laid.
Exactly.
So we kick ourselves in the butt every now and again as well. And of course, and it's so sensitive and fragile when it comes to the world view on the seals.
Yes.
But you think a cull is the way to go? But what would you do with them though? Like, what would happen with all these seals that you cull?
Yeah, well, that's the problem now. See, the market was ruined because of that. I don't know what you would do with them now, but I lived in Trinity Bay for a while, and we used to seal hunt. And we'd go out for a day, and if we got 1, 2, we got 3 seals, we were the high liners. Now out in Trinity Bay, if you go to launch your boat Saturday morning, you got to kick the seals out of your way to get your boat in the water. Now there's an example, So I don't know what you could do with them. I don't know, but that really did have a big effect on our fishery stock. Yeah. There's no doubt about it, right?
Yeah. And the people on the other end of that argument would argue that right up until the 1500s, nobody was taking any cod, nobody was killing any seals, and there was so much cod you could walk across the water on them, like you're talking about seals now in Trinity Bay. So
no, that's right. Well, you take it, all the people on the coast of Labrador, they're the seal oil was their lights and their lamps. The skins were their clothing, and it's been that way forever.
Yeah, no doubt. The people that know, and make good use, of course. And it's too bad that you couldn't get a market for the meat better than it is. I think that would be the savior of that fishery. And of course, they've tried so often and so much. They've tried around the world to try and drum up support and business and so forth. And and I always go back to the same thing. When the flippers are out and people go down and get their flippers and go, well, there, I've had my seal for the year. You don't hear anybody saying that about chicken, of course, and that's part of the problem, right? It's just not a common use thing, and of course, every time you try to do something, you talk too loud, you stick your neck out too far. Somebody from Milan off the runway in some fashion show is going to take a poke at you, and that's going to get all the attention, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly right. You're exactly right. Could I briefly talk about I call it the resident food fishery?
Yes, the resident food fishery that we're calling it now. You go ahead.
Yeah. The gentleman that was speaking there earlier about the scallop drags and that, he's absolutely correctly right also. Darren, my ancestors were in Newfoundland for over 200 years. And they fished. That's why they came here. They came and they fished. Growing up as a little boy in Newfoundland, I grew up before we had electricity in the community. So my grandfather had to can salmon, he had to can lobsters, he had to salt fish. I grew up with that. I grew up when we used to have to go out Saturday evening and tie the foot ropes of our salmon nets up to the head ropes to allow the salmon to go into rivers on Sunday, and then we could go out Monday and do all that. Like, I grew up in that thing. Yeah. When my grandfather passed away, he had a lobster license and a salmon license. I helped him, but I couldn't obtain those licenses because it could only go from father to son and not from grandson to grandfather to grandson. Now, that was in Placentia Bay. Now, here in Fortune Bay, my father had a groundfish license and a shrimp license and a salmon license. And I still actually have those papers in my house here right now, his licenses. They came out and they took those back because 50% of his income didn't come from the fishery. So here I go. I grew up with my grandfather gutting fish, salting fish, canning salmon, canning lobster. I grew up with my dad catching salmon, shrimp, and groundfish. And now today, I'm not allowed to pull a scallop draggle on to get a few scallops. I can only get 5 fish in the resident food fishery. Like, what's going on? Like, everything that I grew up associated with has been taken away with me as a senior citizen. You know, and now I can't even go out and get a fish because the price on everything is not worth going out to get it. Like, it's $50 for a can of gas.
Yeah.
So I can get 5 fish. So it'll cost me $10 for a fish.
And Ross, you also hit on it as well. You know, you're, as a senior citizen, the people that did all the things you're talking about are now senior citizens or past, and it's going to disappear to some degree, isn't it?
It is so. It's disappearing right now because my forefathers have all gone. Like, I'm the senior citizen now of my family.
Yeah.
You know, my kids have grown up and moved away.
Yeah.
You know, but I retired back to Newfoundland after 30 years working all over Canada because I thought, okay, I'll go home. I got a piece of land. I'll build a little house. I'll catch a few fish. I'll pick a few berries. I'll get a moose. And when I get here, I'm not allowed to do anything.
Yeah, it's a romantic, thought, and it's one that's disappearing on us faster than we want it to, unfortunately. And I'm like you, never wanted to be the top of the pyramid in my family, but here I am. Here you are, and you know, and as we pass, these things get forgotten, and all the things that you know and the things that you experienced get lost in that makes of time as well. Ross, thank you for sharing that with us this morning. I'm at the break time now. I'm going to go to break, but I can tell you with all the talk over the last little bit, I sure am some hungry now this morning with all this fish. Anyways, I'm going to turn it over to Dave. Thanks, Ross. You have a great day, and we'll be back on Open Line in just a few moments. Welcome back to Open Line. We're going to go to line 2 where we have Connie. Connie, good morning. Welcome back to Open Line.
Hi, Darren. Welcome back as well.
All right. So, Connie, you had your big meeting with the Federal Fisheries Minister on Friday regarding the food fishery. What came of that?
Well, I'll tell you, there was a lot of passion and emotions in the room from our group, something you certainly cannot present in a survey. Our messages were solidly delivered, and we received reassurance of ongoing consultations on all matters pertaining to the food fishery now and into the future. So we will be at the table going forward for anything food fishery related, and we were pleased to get that acknowledgement. And the announcement for the fishery, we were told by Minister Thompson, it will come out early to mid-May.
Okay.
So a lot of people wanted to know about the fishery well in advance, and she did say that it will come out early to mid-May. We don't have an exact date, but it is going to come out in that time frame.
Yeah, and Connie, how does that compare to other years? Is that earlier or about the same?
Oh, last year it was the week before.
Yeah, in June.
Yeah, Canada Day.
Yeah.
Right? It was a week before Canada Day when it came out. So, and the years prior, I think it's only been as much as a couple of weeks in advance for the last few years I can recall.
Yeah, that's
so
good news, though. So you got something positive out of the meeting anyway, regardless of what the decision is. At least you're going to know earlier.
Yeah, and also, you know, a lot of that was expressed in the survey, which the minister, you know, certainly said that many times that a lot of the things we were talking about was in the What She Heard survey. Yeah. But the emotion and the passion wasn't, believe me.
Yeah, no, I can imagine being in the room and having your say directly was a lot more impactful than filling out a survey.
It certainly was, and with the experience and the knowledge that we have in the fishery over decades between Barry and Merv and Calvin, their hands-on experience and their real-life stories, like you could see they hit Minister Thompson and the two representatives from DFO that were at the table.
Were they science representatives, do you know, or were they just bureaucrats on a higher level, or were they the minister's staff?
Honestly, I didn't take full note of that while we were there. We were just focused on the minister.
Fair enough.
But yes, they were high up level, right under Minister Thompson. So what we'd like to say here, we spoke about public safety, food security, cultural integrity, long-term sustainability of all the cod stocks. And while I'm all over the place again, I have too many notes, we were very happy. We met a couple of our things. We got the meeting. We're getting the announcement earlier. Before we went into the meeting, we met with. We didn't meet. It was in the lobby. Loyola O'Driscoll and his group were coming out of a meeting just prior to us. So Barry and Loyola spoke, and they're connecting to set a time for a meeting this coming Friday.
Okay. Well, that's good. You had another meeting out of it. So,
yeah.
You know, did you get
Jonathan
a sense?
Rowe,
did you get a sense that the federal minister was, positive to your input, or did you get a sense that it was, you couldn't read the room very well?
I really couldn't read the room very well. A lot of our comments were answered with, we've heard that in the survey. We've heard that, in the survey. Which kind of, to me, and this is my personal opinion, was like, you guys really aren't telling us anything we don't already know.
Yeah.
So which is great if the survey communicated, what we're trying to communicate, but we're still advocating and we're not going to stop. So we're just waiting to see when the announcement comes out. We've got a couple of meetings going this week, and we'll be watching the first couple of weeks of May very closely. And when that does come out, we'll certainly be addressing it again and seeing what the results actually are going to be for our fishing season this year.
Okay. So,
one of the things that, sorry, Darren, one of the things that's happening, and a lot of the negativity that you get on the social media is this: they want to fish all year round, and what are you going to do with all that fish? And thinking we're taking like thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds away from the commercial fishery, that's not what's going to happen. So, like, they just need to stop that.
Yeah, well, yeah. So, Connie, get yourself off the social media and stop reading those posts. They're easy to make. You know, anybody that's either in, out, or never even touched the fishery can make all kinds of comments. Connie, thank you for bringing us up to date on your meeting with the federal minister. You got a meeting this week now, provincially, and you got a commitment to an earlier, more than a month earlier, announcement, and we look forward to seeing that. Connie, thank you for calling in this morning and bringing us up to date on that. I am going to go
Darren,
now. Yeah, I got Connie. I'm going to move. I got to move on, but I'm going to go to.
I wanted to send condolences out to Jimmy O'Toole's family and colleagues before I ended this call.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Deep condolences to his family. My husband is a firefighter, so he's directly affected by this loss.
Yes.
So it's a big loss to all, and hope they can get through with the support of their family and friends this rough time.
Yeah, it certainly is. Thank you for that, Connie. Greatly appreciated, and I'm sure it's appreciated by all the firefighters, and thank you to your husband for what he does. Okay, we're going to go to line 3 with Gary. Gary, welcome to Open Line.
Hello. Hello.
Good morning, sir. How you doing?
So good, I guess. So good as it gets. I'm just calling to talk about the wait list and the wait time for MRIs, and to basically try and get and see a doctor, because at the present time I have major issues going on. I have 3 vertebrae in the bottom part of my back that's pushing down on nerves, and 2 in my neck. Like, right now, I have very little feeling in my arms from my shoulders to the tips of my fingers, and my legs. I'm walking like somebody handicapped. I can't walk, like I can't hold nothing on. I've been to a family doctor a few times, and like medication, pills is just not happening. I'm scheduled to see a surgeon on. Which is really funny in a way, the 14th of May, 2027. But before I see this doctor, I have to have my MRI done. And I've been waiting now the last 3 months to hear from somebody. I got a letter saying my name was put on a list. Like, it's just pretty frustrating, because I'm an active kind of person. I used to be working. Right now, I got a job to make a cup of coffee. Like everything is just gone backwards. Everything is just numb. And I've been to the hospital a number of times, ambulance by myself. Like, I don't know what to do, who to call, who to talk to see if I can get any information on this, see if I can probably get in to see somebody, because the way I am right now, it's only a matter of time. I'm going to end up in a wheelchair or something like that. It's just no good, you know. I really don't know what to do. Like, I thought about leaving the province, going to Ontario if I could afford it, which I really can't, or somewhere to see if I could get somebody to try and help me here. Like, I mean, I'm on social service, and I'm living on $110 every 2 weeks. So I'm not going very far besides the ice cream stand, we'll say, to survive. And I mean, all I get is, well, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I know, you know, it's probably not a whole lot of comfort to you, but I do know that they announced 2 new MRI machines not too long ago. Last week, I think it was, the Healthcare Foundation and the provincial health people announced 2 more MRIs in the province to help cut down on wait times. You don't have an appointment yet for an MRI, do you?
No, I'm still waiting. No, I do have an appointment to see a surgeon next year. That's it.
Yeah. So, but you need the MRI before that. Yeah. No, incredible long wait times for MRIs, and of course the 2 new machines will help with that. I'm assuming that it'll cut the wait times down, but maybe that's part of what the system is for you. Is once they get the new machines up and running, get people to run them, then it'll be better for folks like you. So do you have are you getting pain management, or are you able to get any type of physio help, or do you need the MRI before they're even allowed to do anything like that?
I need an MRI even, I guess, before they can do anything like this. Like physical therapy was discussed, but they don't even know. They're saying it might not work anyway.
Yeah, you never know. You probably got sciatica in your leg and all that. It's probably hard to get around, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, I have a job to walk across the house, and I'm only in a small 2-bedroom house, and like I say, making a coffee. I got a dog here, and after losing so many plates, like my hand's going like he's right today, I'm going to hit him with a plate or something.
Oh, God, yeah.
Right,
yeah, that's a terrible situation, Gary. I got to say, it's a long wait for an MRI. Hopefully, there is some relief in the MRI wait a bit. But these are the sorts of things that the province, and I know that even the last government, current government, staffing is a big thing to get these things going. And it's a 2 more MRIs machines going. You still need the staff to do it. I'm not sure what the status is of that. Hopefully, that'll make a difference for someone like yourself. But Gary, I'm past the news time here now. They're giving me the hairy eyeball. So I'm going to thank you for calling this morning. Hopefully you'll hear on the MRIs soon. We're going to turn things over now to Dave. And Gary, all the best. Take it easy. Take it easy on the dog with the plates and all that. But, sorry that you had to wait so long. But anyways, you take care. We're going to turn it over to news. We'll be back on Open Line again in a few moments.
You're listening to a rebroadcast of VOCM Open Line. Have your say by calling 709-273-5211 or 1-888-590-8626 and listen live weekday mornings at 9 a.m.
Welcome back to Open Line. I'm your host this week, Darren Bent, subbing in for the newsroom, and just wanted to touch on something. It seems like the news is click, 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 move on. Nothing seems to stick much anymore. And of course, it was only a couple days ago that shots were fired at the Correspondents' Dinner in Washington. And I think back, at a time in the 80s when Reagan was shot, Open Line would have been lit up talking about that and what it meant and all the fallout from it. But luckily, no one was seriously injured in this incident that took place on Saturday night. One of the Secret Service got a shot, but he had a bulletproof vest on and is okay. They got the culprit, trying to figure out what it's all about. But when I think about the guns and what's going on down south, this came up on the news feed that really surprised me. And I have to say, did I have my head in the sand or did I not know about this? But it seems like something from an old Western movie, a guy up against the wall being shot by a firing squad. Well, it's not just from an old Western movie. It's actually real. And it's now U.S. President Trump and his administration plan to add firing squads, electrocution, and gas asphyxiation to the methods for dealing with federal convicted prisoners, those who have committed what they would consider the gravest federal crimes. They announced that on Friday. And of course, it's not something new. There's actually 5 states in the United States that have firing squads as part of their death penalty options to use. And just last year, 2025, a fellow in South Carolina was executed by firing squad. And a part of this because he feared that the alternatives like the electric chair or lethal injection would risk a slower and more torturous death. So he chose he chose firing squad. I'm not sure that's a choice I would make. But of course, the concern is that the lethal injection, which is the most common method, but there's been higher rates of botched situations when it comes to lethal injection, and it has gone wrong for the person that is getting the injection. But it's going to go wrong for them in the end anyways. But firing squads, it is real. And of course, it's been a long time since the death penalty has been something here in Canada. In fact, it's about 50 years ago this year that Canada put an end to the death penalty in the country. But I looked it up. I had to, because I remembered at the time when the former Chief Justice Robert Furlong passed away here. He lived in Winter House and in St. John's, and there was a fire, and he didn't survive the fire, died from a smoke inhalation. And in 1965, he was the last justice in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador to sentence someone to death. And it was in connection with the shooting of the RCMP Constable Robert Amy, and Melvin Young was sentenced to be hanged for that murder. But his sentence was later commuted to life in prison, and he only served 8 years. But that was the last time someone in Newfoundland was sentenced to death, was in 1965. It never happened. And of course, here we are now. But I just wanted to say that, firing squads, I don't know. What do you think of the death penalty? You hear a lot about crime now, and there's all kinds of concerns being raised by people throughout the country about the types of crime and what the effects of them are on individuals, victims, and society. Are we more fearful and all of that? And does it get us back to a discussion about the death penalty? And I don't know if it'll ever get us to the level in the United States where they actually have firing squads, but I don't know. I don't know who would choose a firing squad, but I guess maybe there are reasons that somebody might want to do that. Okay, I'm going to go now to someone who wants to address some issues involving Canada and the United States. That's Russell on line 5. Russell, good morning. Welcome to Open Line.
Hey, Darren, you're doing a great job, buddy.
I appreciate it. Well, they haven't put me in a firing squad yet, so I'm okay. Hey.
Yeah, and they haven't selected someone to replace Patty yet, have they?
Not at this time, no. I'm just subbing in here now.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I know. A while ago, someone called in, and he was talking about Sam, and he was talking about this and his grandfather, and Jesus, that's how I grew up. Like, we put 100 camels of fish in the salt shed down by the ocean, and that went bad with the flies, right?
Yeah.
With so much salt on it. Yeah, so yeah. I really, I grew up in a outboard, was using the speedboats when I was 14, and grandfather used to salmon every license. Yeah, but I got to talk about Mr. Trump, and how many hundreds of thousands of jobs are going to be lost if we can't come to agreement with Mr. Trump?
Yeah. Yeah, so, and how many have been lost already, right? So.
Yeah. Like for me, I never agreed, and my grandfather and everyone, they fought against joining the Federation, and to me, it was a mistake. Like families just broke up, arguing over Confederation or staying, say, as a republic. In my opinion, Canada should be broken up into probably 14 states. Not states, republics, say. Say someone like Danny Williams would take over Newfoundland, and we get some type of agreement with Mr. Trump, and he'll come in, he'll open up every airport that the Americans take control of the nose and tail of the Grand Bank, and kick all the factory freezer trawlers out of it. And there's so many more benefits, right? Like Amelia Earhart could be turned into another airport for the Americans.
Yeah, it takes a lot of money to do those things you're talking about, and of course, we've got a situation with an MOU now that we don't even. There's a lot of people that don't even want to sign with Quebec, and that would have them pay for the majority of the work, and and share the benefit to some degree. But you can't do it by magic, and we're in a lot of debt, and deficit is a concern as well. Right?
So why can't someone like Daniel Williams start a new party called Republican Newfoundland Labrador and run in an election? Because to me, the Liberals have failed us, and Canada's failed us.
Yeah, and I guess you're saying the Conservatives have failed us too, right?
No, I think.
Well, then we're in good shape then, because we got a Conservative government now. So that would be your opinion.
Liberal boys, I don't think that's a problem.
No.
What do you call the PC boys with Mr. WOCM?
Yep.
I don't think that's a problem.
No, okay. But hopefully he can move us forward in some of these things too, right? Like, that's the hope. Yeah, if the Premier and the government succeeds, we all succeed. If they don't, then we just continue on the path that we're on.
Okay, I would like the audience to comment on this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every province, and probably 5, if not worse territories, they become an independent country and make agreements with Mr. Trump.
Yeah.
We no longer pay tariffs. We could lose 1 million people, and the economy could go tits up, right?
Yeah. Okay. So your thinking is let's break the place down into a number of different parts, and everybody can have their own deal with Donald Trump, and go forward that way. You think that's the most prosperous way to go forward?
Yeah, and Quebec then wouldn't be losing jobs. Ontario auto industry and Quebec industry wouldn't be losing jobs.
Okay. All right. Well, Russell, that's an interesting point you make, and maybe some people might want to comment on that. I'm going to leave it there. I'm past the break time now, but Russell, there it is. It's out there, and people can have their say on it, and give us a call here on Open Line, and we'll see where it goes from there. There's lots of people in different parts of the country that would agree with what you're saying for sure, and then there are those that would not.
Well, right now, Alberta's got a referendum to leave Canada.
Yeah. Okay, so Russell, thank you very much. You have a great day, and we'll be back in a few moments with Rhonda, and we're going to go to break now. Take it away, Dave. Welcome back to Open Line, and we had a caller on just a few minutes ago who talked about his disc problem in his back and the trouble he was having getting around, and of course, anything like that, sciatica, and how it affects your neck and your ability to be able to just to get around your house, to be able to sit down and so forth is traumatic for sure. And he talked about he's waiting to hear back on an MRI. He has an appointment with a surgeon in a year or so. That's a ways out. But someone reached out in the meantime and said that they live in Lab West and they needed an MRI. And the surgeon told them if they went to St. John's, they could be up to 2 years waiting. But if they go to Corner Brook, it would be quicker. And so they got to Corner Brook in a month and had it done. So that might be something to consider for the gentleman or anybody else that's waiting on MRI that they feel that they need quicker than they're getting in their appointments in town. And of course, like we noted earlier, there are two new MRIs coming on stream here in St. John's soon, so that should help with the wait times as well. Okay, we're going to go to line 3 where we have Rhonda Toke-Lane, CEO of the Atlantic Chamber of Commerce. Rhonda, welcome to Open Line.
Good morning, Darren. Glad to be here.
It's great to have you on. What brings you to the show this morning?
First of all, can you hear me loud and clear? I know my cell coverage sometimes all the way out from Holyrood can be a little...
They can hear you in Lab West this morning, Rhonda.
Excellent. Super. I'm calling to share about an exciting event we're hosting next week on May 4th in partnership with the Mount Pearl Paradise Chamber, and it's focusing on workforce, but this is a little different. It's really looking way back and talking about the important role of early childhood, and we've got 2 really exciting smart brains coming to join us to have this discussion.
Okay, let us know what's going on.
All right, so the smart brains, we've got Scott McCain coming in for your audience that you don't know Scott. Scott is chairman of the board of McCain Foods, one of the largest global manufacturers of potatoes. And many other things. But Scott also chairs the Margaret and Wallace McCain Foundation, which his mom started, and he is doing yeoman service on that. So he has a very keen interest in early childhood. And our other guest speaker is former Premier of Nova Scotia, Stephen McNeil. And Stephen is going to be bringing his experience of some of the things he rolled out under his leadership in Nova Scotia with early childhood. So we talk about workforce all the time, and we've got to figure this out if we're going to up our productivity, if we're going to compete as Atlantic Canada, as Newfoundland and Labrador. So this is a really important discussion, bringing two worlds that you probably wouldn't suspect to come together, the business and early childhood, but really important.
Yeah, so what is the type of thing that you want to tackle at this, Rhonda? Because it's a varied type of issue that affects a lot of people, and of course, early childhood issues are many and diverse.
Yeah, I was going to say, recently there's been so much discussion with early childhood learners and their value and their workforce and making sure they're paid properly and they have all the supports. This discussion is primarily going to focus on what we can do differently and looking at what Nova Scotia did. Nova Scotia offers a free universal preliminary program for 4-year-olds. So they actually are in the school system. So it's going to be an interesting discussion to look at what Premier McNeil did in Nova Scotia. And of course, Scott will be bringing the support that shows getting children in play programming earlier helps create a better labor market for us because moms and dads can go to work and children, their brains are being formed and ready to learn. And I know when we talk about workforce, it's a long-term strategy, but I can tell you when I think about my 2 kids, I felt like I was just in daycare, and now we're getting resumes ready for jobs.
Absolutely,
so it goes fast, but yeah, go ahead.
Well, no, I cried on my first day of school in kindergarten when I was 5 years old, and I think maybe if they got me at 4, I wouldn't have known what was going on. That would have been all right. But it is an interesting issue. So, of course, Rhonda, when it comes to this, you're going to be at the Chamber of Commerce, Paradise Mount Pearl Chamber of Commerce. You're going to have the municipal people there. Are you going to have any provincial politicians there to hear what's going on? Because they're the ones that really need the information, I suppose. Hey.
Yeah, we've invited them, and it looks like we're either going to get some elected officials or senior level bureaucrats in the department that deal with early childhood and school. So we really hope, you're absolutely right, we need people that are making the decisions. And of course, we know we've got the budget coming down Wednesday, so we'll see what investments are being made when we talk about early childhood. But Darren, I think it's going to be an important discussion because you're right. I mean, I remember back my first day in kindergarten, still remember my kindergarten teacher, Miss Rose Benoit, but there were a number of kids that just weren't ready. So that discussion around what age, what does that look like, what supports do we need to have in place, it's going to be really important for us to start the discussions. But I think it's going to be a real important one. So I hope we get business leaders, early childhood educators, politicians, municipal leaders, provincial, federal leaders, because it's a really important discussion. I think we need to focus a little bit more on, I think, our really young and our seasoned elders in these changing economic difficult times that we've got.
Yeah, and of course the young people today are immersed and socialized long before I was. I think that first day I cried might have been the first day I was out of my parents' sight for any length of time. But now, of course, you got the preschool and you've got the daycare and so forth like that. So most of the kids, I know mine, yours did too, probably went through all of that long before they got to school. So they'd be better apt to go to something like the model they have in Nova Scotia ahead of time. Rhonda, I can't let you go without asking you, as the CEO of the Chamber of Commerce for Atlantic Canada, your thoughts on what you're looking for from the budget here in the Newfoundland and Labrador on Wednesday.
Thanks. Really looking forward to it. We've had 3 of our other budgets already come down and delivered. To be honest, they weren't great. They weren't good for business. So we've been advocating and sharing our thoughts on that and requesting meetings. This will be the final budget from Newfoundland and Labrador. We're in tough times. We know that. So we are looking for fiscal responsibility, and we know we're not going to be back to balanced budgets anytime soon, but we do want to see some messaging around a plan to get back, fiscal responsibility. But I think more so, this is a tough one. We know that cuts have to be made, and then when cuts happen, there's outcry. So we're really talking about measuring what matters. So I believe that the constituents and people would be more open when they know a cut happens, and that there probably hasn't been a return on investment on that, on that grant that's been given out for 20 years. Like, we really need to look at if we're improving our outcomes. And unfortunately, when we look at many, many outcomes across education, healthcare, business growth, we're not seeing it. So there's got to be a change. We've got to measure what matters, make the cuts appropriate. Better yet, make the investments that need to be made in the areas where we're seeing outcomes. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for. We don't want to see any increases in taxes at all, of course, as a business community, but we're looking for support and guidance. And sometimes these things, they don't have to be money. They can be when a business efficiencies and cutting red tape. So that's what we're looking for on Wednesday.
Yeah, and of course, with the rise of populist governments in recent years, we have seen globally a lack of interest in cutting deficits. Spending seems to be the order of the day, and probably in a lot of cases in an effort to keep people happy and to keep the votes coming in, of course. But that doesn't work real well in the long term, does it? It's crippling for society, and all of that needs to change. And I'm not suggesting that's what this new government here is going to do, but it certainly seems to be a trend globally to spend your way into prosperity, but you're spending your way into deeper debt and deficit.
Yeah, and when we sometimes hear, let's do 10% across all departments. No, you know what? What if there's a department actually showing a return on investment? Why would you make them cut? So again, it's going to take a little while to do this exercise. And I've also been saying we've got to lean on our senior level bureaucrats, right? Some of them have been there. They've been there for more than the 4-year election cycle. They've been there for 20, 30-year careers. They know what's working. So I think collectively, the government, senior level bureaucrats, everyone working there and elected officials need to look at measuring, as I'll say it again, what matters, and not just cutting for the sake of cutting right across the board. If it's working, continue to invest. If it's not, we've got to make some tough decisions.
Rhonda, the Mount Pearl Paradise Chamber of Commerce childhood discussion with Stephen McNeil, former Premier of Nova Scotia. I went to school with Stephen, by the way, and Mr. McCain, and of course I ate a lot of his French fries over the years. So when is it again, and where is it?
Yeah, it's taking place May 4th, 8:30 to 10 a.m. So it's a breakfast discussion at the Glendenning Golf Course in partnership with the Mount Pearl Paradise Chamber. And we're really looking forward to bringing all different types of people out to have this discussion with us.
Yeah, and I guess there's tickets out there you can buy.
Awesome. Yeah, Mount Pearl Paradise Chamber of Commerce. You see it under their events page. You can register there.
Yeah, and those tickets go right quick. So thank you very much, Rhonda, for sharing that and for sharing your thoughts on Wednesday. We'll all be watching very closely, and I suspect probably you'll be around the House of Assembly on that day as well.
I will.
All right. Okay, we're going to go to break now. Rhonda, thank you very much for calling in. All the best.
Thanks, Darren. Bye-bye.
Take care.
The Tim Powers Show. Join the conversation weekday afternoons at 4 p.m. on your VOCM.
Welcome back to Open Line. I don't know how many people out there have had a chance to download the My Chart app and try to log in through that, or to go online and go through that to see their medical history. But we have heard over the past few days, we're seeing posts about it, where people are finding all kinds of inaccuracies, things that don't pertain to them, all kinds of issues with it. And I think we're all pretty well getting used to the idea of going online for my Gov, the health page, right, just off of where you go to motor vehicle, and you can look up and see your test results or your appointments and your history and all of that. But this app seems to be causing some issues for some people. I downloaded it this morning. It doesn't seem to recognize that I already have an account with my Gov, and it won't let me get past that. So I'm going to try and work that out later this afternoon. I'll let you know how it works out tomorrow. But if you're having trouble with this, or if you're seeing things that don't pertain to you showing up in the app, app when you log into yourself. Let us know. Give us a call, send us a note. We'll see how things are going. And of course, if you're out around this weekend, you see that the price of gas has jumped up over $1.90 again. So, when we think about the federal excise tax of 10 cents coming off, the difference between $1.90 and $2, 10 cents, it doesn't seem to make much difference the higher the price is. When it's a lower price, it'll make a difference. But here we are, we're paying high gas prices, and it all seems to hinge on whether the United States is in a position to negotiate any kind of a deal with Iran or not, whether they're sending people or not sending people to get a deal. That seems to be the reason the gas prices seem to fluctuate up and down. Okay, and if you're out around the province, one of the things that we always love to see are icebergs. And of course, not everybody likes to see them, I suppose, but there is an iceberg now you can see in Conception Bay. Came in the weekend. I'm not sure where else they are. If you live somewhere in the beautiful places up Bonavista, Vista, Twillingate, all these areas that see icebergs, give us a shout, send us a note, give us a call tomorrow if you can't get on today. I'd love to hear about where the icebergs are, because it is an absolute gem. It's something that people will travel a long ways to go and see. And of course, spend a few dollars in your community. It helps out, of course. But icebergs, they're coming around, and when they're in Conception Bay, it tells me that they're in a lot of other places as well. Okay, I'm going to go now to line one where I have Craig. Craig, good morning. Welcome to Open Line.
Good morning. Good morning, Darren. I got up and I looked out and looked up at the beautiful sky, and then I seen these planes flying overhead. So who's responsible for our airwaves?
Yeah, so the federal government manages the airways, of course. You know that, Craig.
Well, as far as I know, each country dictates or allows what plane to fly overhead or not. So if we have all these planes flying over Newfoundland and they're not landing in Newfoundland, well, maybe they shouldn't be flying over Newfoundland if they're going to be spraying these chemtrails over us.
Yeah, and I know that you can get an app now, Craig, and you probably know this well, that you can get an app, or there's a few apps out there that will show you where the planes are leaving from and where they're actually going to. You can go online and see this, and you can track them. So you would know if the planes are actually coming to Canada or not coming to Canada. So you're suggesting that there's a lot of planes that are flying overhead here that are not even coming to Canada?
Correct. I looked at that app before, yes, because I looked at trying to track some of these planes and stuff. So I just started a Facebook page, NL Chemtrails. So if people want to start talking and sharing photos of where they're at and what they're seeing, and then maybe we can pressure the government to have these planes stop flying over our heads. Years ago they were saying there was no such thing as geoengineering, this and that. Now they're admitting it, but yet we don't know the chemicals that they're putting into the air. If you look up, when I was a kid, you looked up in the sky and you seen a plane fly overhead, and within 10, 15, 20 seconds, the contrail that was coming out dissipated, and you never seen it. Now, today, they fly over, and it's a streak from horizon to horizon, and then you got the stuff spreading out, and by 5 o'clock this evening, the sky is not going to be blue anymore. It's going to be a hazy white. Now, that's not normal. And anybody that says that it's normal got to get re-educated, because they do not have an understanding what's going on. So I just went to the RCMP here in Bayvert, and I'm going to make an official statement to get this investigated, because we need to protect the people and our citizens. We need to protect our groundwater. We need to protect the land which our food grows on. And if the chemicals are up there, they're not going into space. They're coming back down to Earth. That's just common logic. So we need to get to the bottom of it and resolve it. If it's going to be, if they can prove to us that it is just contrails, well, okay, let's resolve it and everybody can go on about their business. But if it's something more, worse than what we think it is, then we got to get it resolved. We cannot no longer ignore these things. We're pretty passive people.
Craig, forgive me, but I only notice them certain times of the year, so I'm assuming it has to do with the where people are traveling or where the flight lines of the planes and so forth, or maybe it's the atmospheric. I'm not sure. But it was always my impression that the white lines were like a condensation type of thing that like you said, contrails or condensation trails that just come from the planes because the engine's hot and the air's so cold up there that it just creates this line behind it. But you're suggesting that it's something far worse in what we're seeing than what we're being told.
Yes, and what you just explained is chronological to a degree. But you know what? It's the atmosphere and the heat is going to dissipate fairly quickly. So the crystals are not going to be up in the air all day long.
Yeah.
It's impossible for that to happen.
Yeah.
That's just me using logical common sense, man. I never graduated high school, but I got some education, right?
Yeah.
I don't need to have a rocket science degree in order to figure things out.
But of course, we don't always see the contrails either, right? But the planes are still there.
Well, exactly. At night, you don't see the chemtrails.
No, but even in the daytime, there's planes flying over right now that we don't see the contrails from, yet certain times of the year or I don't know if it's at times of the year or if it has to do atmospherically, but you can see them. It seems like, where'd all them planes come from all of a sudden? There's 4 or 5 of them up there. Yeah, but the same 4 or 5 planes were going before.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And you'll see 2 of them side by side. You'll see a chemtrail plane and you'll see a contrail. And the other thing is, if they're using it for geoengineering to block the sun out, well, when the sun rays come through and bounce off this water surface and goes back up, it's going to hit that layer and it's not going to get out. So maybe that's the reason why the planet's warming up.
Yeah, you never know. It all adds to it, doesn't it, Craig? Craig, thank you very much for raising the issue this morning. I'm sure you've got a lot of more people looking up in the air now to see about these contrails or chemtrails, as you like to refer to them. And maybe they'll be asking more questions as to what happens up there. But Craig, appreciate your time this morning. You have a great day.
Thank you. Same.
All right. We're at the break now. We're going to go to break. We'll be back in a couple of minutes with Dennis. Welcome back to Open Line, and joining me now on line 2 is the former mayor of the city of St. John's, Dennis O'Keefe. Welcome to
Hi, Darren.
Open Line.
How
you doing?
I'm doing well, I must say. Enjoying life and doing a few things here and there and keeping abreast on political events like the upcoming ones this week, municipally and provincially. But I was fascinated by your last caller.
Yeah.
On airspace.
Yes. It's a good question. Policing the airspace, hey? What's going on up there, right?
Well, I gotta relate this to you, and this is true, but it's something that hasn't been pursued the way it should have been. So, years ago, there was a Newfoundlander, well-researched Newfoundlander and a very successful Newfoundlander and Labradorian. I don't know if he's still alive at the moment, but he moved to Halifax. And he wrote a research paper on the airspace over Newfoundland and Labrador. And it's an in-depth analysis of who actually owns and controls the airspace over Newfoundland and Labrador. And his argument, after all his research, his argument into 1949, when Newfoundland and Labrador hooked up with Canada, and in the process, we lost a lot of control over our very, very successful industries like the fishery, to the point that it's in a mess today, largely because of the control that the federal government has over the Newfoundland fishermen and tends to ignore the very, very people who are the fishers. But anyhow, David Fox looked into the terms of union with Canada, between Newfoundland and Canada. And it was his researched opinion that one of the things that Newfoundland, the country of Newfoundland, did not give up when it joined Canada was our airspace. So on any clear day, and I've been fascinated by this for many years, on any clear day, like a few days ago, one of those days when we had a nice blue sky. I think it might have been 3 or 4 days ago.
Yep.
And you could count the contrails of the jets crossing over Newfoundland on their way from Europe to, it could be Toronto, New York, wherever it might have been, but they were crossing over Newfoundland. And you could see them going the other way too, any sunny day. Right over St. John's, you'll see them. They look beautiful. I mean, they're up there as a blue sky. You see these white contrails and all that sort of thing. Anyhow, it was his argument that Newfoundland never gave up its control over its airspace, and that the federal government of Canada, having the right to charge airlines for flying over Canadian airspace, when they actually, the revenues from crossing over Newfoundland and Labrador should accrue to the Newfoundland government and not to the federal government of Canada. Now, people laughed at it, and people kind of ridiculed it. You can find it very easily, Darren, if you Google David Fax.
Yeah.
And some of his family are here today, and I think they're probably saying, wow, at least somebody now is saying, look, Dad made this argument, he well researched it. Why is it that the Newfoundland government has never, ever given all the money and all the lawyers and all the expertise and all the intelligence we have in that Confederation building? Why is it that somebody in the Department of Justice hasn't really dug deep into this, so that once and for all we either know that no, that wasn't the case, or yes, it was the case, Ottawa, and you owe us hundreds and hundreds of $1 million since 1949 up until 2026 for the use of our airspace.
Yeah. It is an interesting subject, though, isn't it? And you're saying that the federal government gets paid revenue for the use of the airspace over the country.
Well, it's my understanding that that's the case. When airlines fly into the airspace of another country, they pay for overflying the country.
Yep.
And so here we are again. People talk about the MOU this week and the need for more dollars and the debt of Newfoundland, Labrador, and where are we going to get our revenues? Well, why is it that, again, our provincial government hasn't actually put a working task force into this issue and find out? It should be it shouldn't be a great, big, difficult question to ascertain the answer for.
No, it shouldn't be. And, while we were talking, I just popped open the app, and there's an incredible number of planes flying over Newfoundland and Labrador, and an incredible amount flying over Labrador, as a matter of fact, and of course, then Quebec. Because
I only see the ones over St. John's.
Right, but that's the path
Labrador,
from Europe.
It's got to be given the Great Circle and the flying patterns.
Yeah.
The air traffic over Newfoundland and Labrador, and in particular, like Labrador, has to be enormous. Is that a source of revenue that we have been done out of since 1949? Or was David Fax whistling Dixie when he wrote that treatise, that well-researched paper? I Googled it again out of curiosity. The older I get, the more I dig into these things. And I Googled it maybe 2 months ago and read his arguments all over again.
Yes.
And there was a note there that somebody looked into it, 20 or 30 years ago, but there was never any deep dive into it.
Well, I can tell you there's an incredible number of flights over the province, so it's a solid question. And of course, if it's not outlined, maybe we lost it. Maybe we lost it to Canada. Maybe we didn't. It'd be nice to see it challenged, just to see what the answer could be in the courts. Dennis, on another topic, if I could, you want to have a word on the budget coming up this week, because I know the City of St. John's always watches the budget really closely. closely because it affects the capital city as much, if not more, than everybody else. And you've been sitting in that chair before, so you must be keen to the budget on Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean, I'm listening to Tony Wakeham leading into the election. Again, his policies and his program if the Conservative Party gets elected, and it did get elected, thank God. I mean, it was time after 10 years of malfeasance and everything else with the previous government, and
You're not
the
mincing
things
your
that
words
went
there,
on
Dennis,
in
that's for
particular
sure.
in this last year, that it was time for a change. People called for a change, and now we're into a new budget. And yeah, we are financially strapped. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But so's the whole country, for that matter. The federal debt is enormous, also, and doubled, I think, in the recent past. I believe, and I hope, but I believe that the budget coming down, Premier Wakeham's budget, will be a people's budget. He's made that point time again that this is not the time to balance a budget on the backs of people who are already hard put even to heat their homes. I just wonder this winter how elderly people and all people, in fact, have been able to heat their homes. So I think it's going to be a people's budget, and the deficit will come down from what it was last year. But I really think that there'll be something there for the broad spectrum of the population of Newfoundland, Labrador, and all the municipalities. And he will keep an eye, or they will keep an eye, on the overall budget, so that in time, I think he's saying 3 or 4 years from now, you get back to a balanced budget. But it's not going to be. This is not going to be a stringent, severe budget on ordinary Newfoundlanders and Labradorians.
Yeah.
I think that I'm confident. I have every confidence that that is the way the budget will roll out.
Yeah, and he was on Open Line here a couple of weeks ago, basically outlining that he's not going to cut his way to prosperity. He doesn't see that as a realistic tool, especially given what people are facing now. Thank you very much this morning, Dennis, for coming up on the 12 o'clock news. Appreciate your thoughts on these issues. And, of course, we'll be watching very closely on Wednesday to find out what kind of relief, if any, are in there for regular citizens across the province. We've had tax breaks in the past that have come off with we're jokingly called the Tim Hortons tax break. You might save enough to get yourself a coffee once a week, but I think a lot of people across the province are hoping for more than that, given the fact that the tough times that average Newfoundlanders and Labradorians are facing and have been facing with gas prices, food prices, and you go on, and even the builders in the province who are trying to buy wood and all the things they need to put up houses that are needed, they all cost more. Dennis, thanks for calling in. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Darren, and I put the challenge out there to the Department of Justice. Come on, boys and girls, dig into this once and for all, and let's see where we as a Newfoundland and Labrador country and a Newfoundland and Labrador province of Canada, how this may alter the financial relationship between us.
Okay, thank you very much, Dennis. And just to everybody out there, thank you very much. Great show this morning for all the calls. Thank you very much for calling in. And boys, don't strain your necks looking up for the contrails. They're going to be there anyway. And we're going to turn it over now to the 12 o'clock news with Sarah Strickland.